Hi guys, Charlie here. I just started a new YouTube channel called For the Banter NI. This is a channel focused primarily on games and technology reviews, things like that. I decided to start making videos because I'm inspired by certain people like Tech Syndicate, Joker Productions, Jack Fraggs, Jay's 2 Cents, things like that. But I realised when I was watching channels like that I didn't just like channels that dealt with critics. I also like, funny videos, let's plays, things like that. So I'm open to suggestions for videos in the future if this goes well. So I decided to make my first video on my top 5 PC games that I played when I first got my gaming computer. Here it is. Cheers. So first up on my list I have Tomb Raider. Now, I had Tomb Raider recommended to me by a few friends for when I first got into PC to show me the graphical capability of PC games, and I have to say I was completely blown away by Tomb Raider with the likes of the anti-aliasing, the Trace FX. The game just was beautiful to look at to begin with. It is a action survival horror game. It reminded me an awful lot of Uncharted with the climbing scenes and the shooting scenes, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I thoroughly enjoyed this game. I thought the game was great. Thought the story was good. It was very well polished. The controls and all, it fitted well. One thing I do have to give my criticism on was the puzzles in the game. I'm a big fan of the Tomb Raider franchise. Tomb Raider 2 is my first game I had ever played on the PlayStation 1 back all them days ago, but long gone are the days where people are stuck on puzzles for absolutely ages. This Tomb Raider seemed to hold your hand through the entire thing, and it wasn't very difficult, so I played it on the hardest difficulty from get-go. However, there is one particular puzzle, the bell puzzle, for anybody that's played the game, that had my head a wee bit melted, but other than that, the game was very simple. So, on goes on to my second game, Mafia II. For my second game, I felt I should go towards something very story-driven, and I couldn't have picked a better game than Mafia II. Mafia II follows a character called Vittorio Scaletta, or Vito, as they call him, and the game's set in the 1940s to the 1950s in Empire Bay. You start off at the start of the game, Vito basically being a 2-bit nobody on the street, and you end up becoming one of the top mafia gangsters. What is there not to love? The driving is fantastic in the game, and the gameplay and gunplay mechanics are pretty decent. The game really does immerse you so far in to the point where you actually feel like you are one of the family, rising in the mafia, and the setting's just fantastic. I actually completed this game in one sitting. I liked it that much. I started at 10 o'clock in the morning, I finished it that night. Mafia 2, definitely a good shout out. Anybody that ain't played it, go play it.
Get your ass over here. You waiting for a formal fucking invitation?
Fourth up on the list, we happen to have a personal favourite of mine, which is Middleearth: The Shadow of Mordor. The Shadow of Mordor happens to be an open world game where you play as 2 characters. One is Talion, who is a ranger of Gondor, and you represent Talion in the human form. And your second character that you play as is a guy called Celebrimbor, who happens to be an elven lord who was the main forger of the Rings of Power in the Lord of the Rings franchise. Before I played this game, I was skeptical because at initial E3 gameplay, I thought it felt an awful lot like a crossbreed between Assassin's Creed and the Batman series. And although it is, in retrospect, a complete blend of them 2 games, it is absolutely fantastic. It plays well, it's well optimized on PC, it looks beautiful, It has a nice combat system, it has a great story, and plus it's in the Lord of the Rings universe. You can't ask for anything more. The game is divided into 2 parts and 2 separate areas. Although all the game takes place in Mordor, you do see 2 separate geographical comparatives in Mordor. And some of the characters that you come across are very witty and are, likeable characters. The story itself only has 20 main missions, but there's a lot of extra content for anybody that wants to fill up their game time and, get all the collectibles and do everything in the game. Easily this game can be 60 hours doing everything, which I think nowadays for, a new modern game is pretty good. So yeah, Shadow of Mordor, definitely play it. A lot of people had a big problem with it where they actually wanted to play it with a controller because they felt it didn't fit the keyboard and mouse scheme. However, I beg to differ. I wasn't able to play with a controller on the PC for this game, so initially I went in with the mouse and keyboard, and after about an hour and a half of playing the game with the keyboard and mouse, it fit so well that when I tried to play it with a controller, when I got my adapter for the 360 controller, it didn't gel with me at all. It just felt laggy and broken up, and it didn't work. So yeah, Shadow of Mordor, go play it. Next up on the list, people, we have Trine. Trine happens to be a side-scroller platformer / puzzle game that was produced by Frozenbyte. The version of Trine that I played was Trine the Enhanced Edition, which was the first game remade in the second game's engine, and it also included additional co-op support. However, I played the game in solo and I did find the game pretty challenging, but it is a very rewarding game. You play as 3 separate different characters, a thief, a knight and a wizard, and basically the story starts off that you're at this like a magical academy as the wizard, and you wake up from your 2-week slumber, and then later on in the level you play as the thief, where the thief essentially goes to try and steal from the academy, and then you also play as the knight in this level, where eventually he goes to the academy because he thinks it's within his right to go and defend the academy. And basically the 3 of them all come together and they end up touching a piece of magical architecture called a Trine, in which their souls become entwined. And yeah, there is a lot of hefty puzzles in this game, and I would advise you to play it on co-op first time round because it is a difficult game, but you can do it single player because, like I said, the initial version of the first Trine game didn't have any co-op support. So definitely good variation there and a good game to play to get used to some PC controls. And to finish up this list, we have Warframe. Warframe happens to be the game that I'm playing at the moment. It's a free-to-play co-op third-person game with RPG elements. It's made by Digital Extremes. Basically, in the game, you play as this kind of being called the Tenno, and you're meant to be like an ancient warrior that's been in cryo-sleep for thousands and thousands of years, and you wake up thousands of years from present day in our solar system, and you take controls of these exoskeleton based like mech machines called Warframes. There's 20 in the game to collect. You start off at the start of the game, you get to pick which one you can pick. Each Warframe has their own specific abilities, and you basically run all these different missions on different planets to get certain raw materials and items to build other Warframes. Each level has a maximum of 4 players, so essentially you play in a squad, and you're faced with 3 main enemies in the game at the minute: the Grenier, the Infected and the Corpus. Digital Extremes have said though that they are going to add a lot of things to the game this year, and this will be the year for Warframe, so I'm really excited about that. As far as co-op goes, it's a great experience, great game to play with friends. really engaging. And the thing is as well, it's not a game that holds your hand. Initially when you play the tutorial level, it gives you the most basic of basic stuff about the game, but the thing I love about Warframe is once you learn how to move, it's as if the map isn't there. You can essentially do whatever you please. Just don't imagine that there is stairs in front of you, or there's pillars, or anything in the map that will restrict your movement, because nothing is restricted. Very much like the Matrix. So yeah, people, that's my top 5 PC games that I played when I first got my game computer. And if you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate that you would like and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, see you later.